CV, it filled me with pleasure. and then I got your business plan. It's a bloody disgrace. And then when he tries to leave, he goes the wrong way. It's amazing. The things like Elizabeth is literally going to argue so much with them. It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be great telly. Hello and welcome
Are you up to date?
Yes, I'm up to date.
Who do you think is going to go into the final?
I honestly don't know because I think they're all rubbish. I really don't. There's no standout for me. I think.
Do you think?
I'm thinking probably Elizabeth. I think I've got a feeling she will have a pretty top-notch business plan. I don't know. I've just got a theory.
Yeah, she's quite meticulous, isn't she?
And I also think James will as well. But apart from that, I don't know. Joanna did well last week. She was really good on the fashion task. But apart from that, she's not really done anything. She's been a bit crap.
Yeah. My money, we're talking about The Apprentice UK, by the way, if I'm a bit confused. My money is on, I think Sarah is really good. But I think the problem is with the show.
I forgot about her. Yeah, she'll be in the final.
She's really good.
Yeah.
But she's not very interesting to watch because she's not like this kind of loud, annoying personality. She like gets the job done. So I think that might play against her a little bit. Like I think people are sleeping on her, to be honest. I think they're not realizing how good she is, but it's because she's not like this loud, big vocal person. I think Michaela, is going to be the other one, the lady from Bolton, the northern one.
Yeah, she's a bit of a control freak, though, isn't she?
Yeah, and she's not very good on pitches as well. But then, she's still better than most of the other people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right with I've always forgotten her name. The person she was so boring, I've forgotten her name. But like, it goes against the trend this year. Like they've gone for people who potentially make good TV, maybe like more have a TV personality. And she does go against the trend, but she is probably one of the best people in it. Anyway, should we talk? Should we talk video games?
Yeah, this is Heroes of Handheld, episode 201. You're tuned into the internet's premium handheld gaming podcast dedicated to all things Switch, Android, and iOS, with little sprinklings of other systems every now and then as well. My name's Colin, the man with the plan to buy a Switch at Christmas, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll buy one at some point. Don't you worry, my pal. Hi, everybody. How are you doing on this cold winter evening?
Suddenly feels very Christmassy, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I've got my Christmas tree on. I've got my Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah, cute. Yeah. What DVDs are those?
They are Pirates of the Caribbean, for our American friends, Dead Man's Chest, Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, and also American Beauty, which I watched before Allegations came out. Still a good film, though. Great film. Didn't really know what to expect from American Beauty, but it's very good. Very well, interesting storytelling in that one. Sort of a bit of a twist at the end, in a way. But it's all good. Talking of films, Chris, when are you seeing Star Wars?
Tomorrow night.
You seeing it tonight? No, you're not.
Tomorrow night.
Oh, you said tonight.
Tomorrow night.
You're going to a midnight showing, are you?
No, it's at 9 o'clock in the evening. The midnight ones are all tonight.
I thought it came out on Friday.
Officially
tomorrow then?
Thursday.
Comes up. Oh, right. There you go. Oh, well, that would be exciting.
What about you?
I'm seeing it Friday. So we've heard good things, good reviews. So hopefully,
I can't believe Jar Jar kills Dumbledore.
Huh?
I said I can't believe Jar Jar kills Dumbledore. It was a joke.
I know. That is a bit of a twist, isn't it? Well, have you seen the theory that Jar Jar Binks is actually the main evil antagonist for the whole Star Wars series? Because he has an cover plan to overthrow the Jedi right from the beginning. Like he's really clumsy, he's like really annoying to Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn. He keeps like messing up their plans, and then at the end he's the person who puts the final nail in the coffin, and he gives all the power to the to Palpatine. So clearly he is the evil one. He's worse than Palpatine, to be honest with you. He's worse than Luke.
It would be amazing if that was the play, if that was the reveal, wouldn't it? Like if we waited was it 20 years since prequels came out? No, not quite 20, like 15 years since prequels came out.
Almost 20. 99. Yeah, it is almost 20 years.
Wow. Yeah, imagine. That'd be dope.
So, Chris, let's talk about some games, and I want to talking about the cold weather, the new weather feature in Pokemon Go, which I'm sure we've both been trying out this week.
Yeah, I'm going to just turn mine on right now, actually, and just see what's around.
The one thing I've noticed, it's supposed to like be accurate to where you are. I thought it uses like data or whatever where you are, but I found it's been pretty inaccurate so far. Like, I mean, I was walking home from work earlier, and I was on Pokemon Go, and it said cloudy. I looked up, and there was a clear sky full of stars. So yeah, not too accurate, but I'm liking the feature. I think it's really cool how certain Pokemon appear when it's different weather types. I've already caught a few of Gen 3, which is nice. A bit of a confusing one. Apparently, whenever it's raining, that seems to attract the electrical ones. That seems a bit.
Yeah, because I guess because it's meant to be like a storm.
Oh yeah, thunder and lightning. I guess yeah, that makes sense. I was a bit confused to that because I thought like the electric Pokemons would be a bit against like the rain and water and things like that. What's the weather saying on Pokemon Go for you at the moment?
I'm getting rain at the moment and wind. I think I tell you the thing that I've kind of been thinking about for this update is like, we live in like nearish cities, so our play is pretty fairly solid. But if you're like a rural player and you don't have much around you, this must really shake the game up because suddenly you're getting like all sorts of different types available.
Yeah,
which isn't
that could
really
be a reason why they've introduced it really to change up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just looking on
it
mine.
doesn't really help us so much, but for other people, it must be really handy.
I've got windy at the moment, and there is a Rattata, not a Rattata, a Raticate has just spawned. And I don't think I've ever had a Raticate spawn near my flat before, so that's very exciting. Very exciting indeed. Right, so yeah, I'm keen on it. I think it's good. It's nice that there's new Pokemon in the game as well. So yeah, I'm still playing it the same amount as I did before. I pick it up and have a little look on there and get the Pokestop, get the Pokemon for the streak. But yeah, it's not groundbreaking, but it's a nice little addition. It'd be nice to see what it's like when it's snowing. I don't think we actually haven't had any snow at all. Did you have snow in London town?
Yeah, we did. We had quite a lot of snow. It was lovely.
We just had rain, and that was it. The end. It seemed like everyone had rain, had snow apart from us, and it was very annoying because I do like a bit of snow. Anyway, right. So that's our Pokemon Go talk done for the week. We should have like a little theme song for our Pokemon Go thing. Maybe like dun. That can be our little.
Speaking of snow, Colin.
Yes.
You know what genuinely is a film series and a book series that I associate with winter and Christmas?
The Snowman, featuring Michael Fassbender, off of Joe Nesbo. Is that the one? Or Murder on the Orient Express?
No, it's Harry Potter.
Hunger Games. Oh, Harry Potter. Yeah, that was my next guess.
Yeah, Harry Potter. And it's true, isn't it? Like Harry Potter and Star Wars. I don't know why, but I always associate those film series with Christmas.
They always come out towards the end of the year, don't they?
But this kind of segs quite nicely because Pottermore, which is the Harry Potter kind of not fan website, but like website for fans, releasing up a press release. There's a new game from developers Jam City has been announced, which is going to release on iOS and Android, and it's a story-driven mobile narrative role-playing game set in Hogwarts. You play as a wizarding student, so you don't play as Harry, Ron, or Hermione. You play as a student. You can create your own character, experience life there, go to different classes, do dueling club. Presumably, you'll get to eat the mandrake roots and all that kind of stuff. Created by Los Angeles-based mobile game studio Jam City, and it's coming out under Portkey Games label. Portkey are also the ones who are kind of co-developing the Harry Potter Pokemon Go style game with Niantic. Looks quite interesting. I'm keen, but I'm also interested that this is now like clearly there's a push to put Harry Potter back in the public consciousness in terms of. Because, the films came out, the books came out, then the films came out, then you've got the play and stuff, and it's not with the play and the film that felt like a manageable amount. But clearly, there's an effort from the Harry Potter team to sort of try and push Harry Potter back into being like this huge, massive franchise, and this looks like another step in that direction.
It really does seem recently that there's so many different companies and organizations really pushing the Harry Potter thing again. Obviously,
Yeah.
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them brought it back into public interest. But for an example, our local Primark, they've got a huge selection of Harry Potter clothing now, like men's, women's, kids, everything. T-shirts, jumpers, bed covers, everything. And it's very interesting that we've also got these 2 Harry Potter games coming out soon as well. It's just strange. I don't know whether it's going to be like this now, like forever. Like every few years or so, there'll be a peak of interest in like Harry Potter. Like it'll go away for a little bit, then it'll come back. It'll go away, come back. Because it's almost like, I think it's like Harry Potter is a timeless thing. Like as children grow older, they'll start reading it and they'll hand the books down to their children, etc., etc. I don't know what an old equivalent is of this. Maybe Winnie the Pooh. No, I don't know. What's a book that came out years ago? It's sort of like comes back into popularity every few years.
The thing is with these books is that they're like it's kind of strange that they're making so much stuff based off them, because like at the end of the day, there's 8 books and 1 screenplay, and the 7 books and 1 screenplay. Is J.K. Rowling clearly a very savvy businesswoman, because she's not, obviously she's written a lot, but it's become like such a huge franchise based off not very much. Whereas you think of like, I don't know, like Marvel Studios franchise or something like Iron Man or Captain America, and admittedly there's like a film with him in every couple of years, but there's so much Marvel stuff coming out because there's so many comics they can play off. Whereas Harry Potter, like there's not that much source material, but they keep just pumping things up. And I slightly worry, because a big part of the appeal of those films is that really like involved in them, and she obviously had people in mind that she wanted to cast. She had certain characters, she had certain people. She was very much like the adaptations of my books as a film. So I kind of worry about a game like this, because I don't know how involved she is, but surely not very.
I don't know. I mean, it's a bit like, well, I don't know if you said this, comparison to Star Wars, really, isn't it? Like, well, I think,
or maybe Star Trek is even a better comparison, because it's more Star Trek material than there is Star Wars.
It's because like they know those brands like Star Trek, Star Wars, and Harry Potter all sell. Like people love it. I mean, I'm all for this game. I think this is the sort of game I was wanting from a Harry Potter world. Like, I don't know, like a Harry Potter. I mean, I don't know whether this will be in the same ilk as Telltale game. Maybe not as much in the way of decision making. But
I think it'll be more like an Animal Crossing Pocket Camp type thing, because there's only so much story they can write.
I just hope that rather than it be like, like a simplistic version of the Harry Potter world, like a top down, I really hope this is like a proper 3D game where you get to explore the castle, go through, different parts of the castle, the Great Hall, go to lessons and things like that. If it's a game like that, if it's a really big game where a lot of thought's gone into it, then I'm dead keen for this. I mean, looking at the quote from Portkey Games, you can tell that they're passionate about the game. They're saying they're obviously huge fans of Harry Potter, so they want to make a game that is for the fans, that everyone will love. So just looking here, it's saying maybe in September. They're saying September? Well, it says here the new Hogwarts term starts in September, but then they're saying it's available some point next year. So I don't know whether they're aiming for September next year or early next year. It's not really specified on the
Surely it's going to be sooner than that, because they wouldn't announce it if it was 9 months away.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think they are quite a fair way through development, but we'll wait and see. I'm dead keen for this. But the good thing is, people, I'm gonna slowly move on here, like really slowly move on to the next one. If you're really interested in this game, once we have a release date, you can pre-order the app on Apple's App Store. There you go. Cool new features been added to the App Store on iOS, where you can pre-order apps now, apps and games before they launch. Now, this is usually something associated with video games, where you go to your local store, you put down a deposit or put your name down. I mean, there's a big backlash from Battlefront 2, where so many people had put down money for a pre-order for that, but after all the information, all the leaks came out about the loot crates and things like that, people were trying to cancel their pre-orders, and obviously Battlefront made it, and EA made it very difficult for people to do that. But this is a very basic feature. It's an interesting idea where if there's an app or a game that's coming to iOS and it's got a release date and it's a couple of weeks away, you can pre-order it. So what this means is if the game is up to 90 days ahead of launch, you can pre-order it, and apparently you don't have to put any money down for it. You can just put like a note saying that you're interested in it, and then once it's released, it will automatically be downloaded to the user's device. And then if there's a price for the app, the customer will only be charged once the app is ready for download. So you won't be charged before, and you can put your interest down by saying you want to pre-order it, and you don't have to pay until it's available to download, which is actually really cool. And you're free to cancel your pre-order any time before the launch date as well, which is really cool. It's a bit of a strange feature to add. I don't know whether this is something people were wanting, because I don't know whether this was the case, but I feel like the reason people pre-ordered games back when it was popular to do so, for example, back in the mid-2000s, maybe early 2000s, for games for the Xbox 360, PS3, etc., was in fear that it would sell out, maybe, and you sort of guaranteed your copy of it. But if you're pre-ordering a virtual game, obviously a download version of the game on mobile, it's not going to sell out because there's unlimited copies for everyone. So a bit interesting feature, but it's a nice little feature to add if there is a game that you're really excited for. I mean, looking on the picture from this article on TechCrunch, they've used example of Life is Strange, Thumper, Inside Game, and Sonic Runner's Adventure as examples of games that people could potentially pre-order. So yeah, I don't know whether this is something that interests you at all, Chris, but it's a nice little feature nonetheless.
It does, and I'll tell you for what, Colin.
Yeah.
Because for two reasons. Number one, I find with mobile games, more than with games that you spend larger amounts of money on, often someone will mention a game coming out and I'll be like, oh, that sounds cool, and then just forget about it completely because like it doesn't occupy the same headspace because it costs, £2 rather than 50. You don't really think about it as much. So that's, for me, it's a really good idea to have like a little note, a little kind of reminder that, oh yeah, this game, someone mentioned it 6 weeks ago, now it's coming out. But the other thing that's really good about this is that when Pokemon Go came out, right?
Yeah,
the servers were not good enough at all. Like they just weren't strong enough to cope with the massive amounts of people that downloaded the game and all wanted to play it at once. And with really successful iOS and Android games, we've seen this happen where they just don't have the number, like they don't have the servers to back up the numbers of people playing it. So if everyone who was going to get Pokemon Go had pre-ordered it, kind of acknowledged that they wanted to play it before, that would have given Niantic such a boost to be like, oh man, like we're not going to get 1 million players, we're going to get 100 million players, or whatever the numbers were. So that's why it kind of interests me. It might end up leading to like a better user experience.
Yeah, I can see that. It's an interesting way of looking at it. But yeah, I mean, maybe this also shows how Apple believe that more people are potentially, or more developers are now putting focus into high quality mobile games. So rather than releasing the free games, where there's in-app purchases, maybe they believe that developers now are, focusing on the higher end mobile games where, there's a fee attached to them and better quality, which is an interesting way of looking at it, I guess, as well. And it sort of links on to the next story I just wanted to very briefly talk about. So it seems Nintendo are trying to make up for lost time with mobile gaming. As we know, they're a bit reluctant to get into the mobile gaming space. But then I think it was Pokemon Go that sort of turned their heads a little bit, where they've realized that there was a big market for it. I mean, what mobile games have Nintendo had a hand in so far? Obviously, Mario Run.
Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem Heroes.
Yeah. So they're trying to They're saying in this article here from GameSpot, they're saying that they're trying to catch up because they feel like they're behind with a lot of developers. So apparently, Nintendo already owns a 10% stake in DENA and is working with them on 5 mobile games. Currently, the first one is Animal Crossing Pocket Game. But this is an article that came out from the Wall Street Journal where they reported that Nintendo wants to work with more mobile game developers to release more games after the company failed to get involved in the mobile game space early on. Apparently, Nintendo believe it can release more games faster by aligning with more partners. However, the report added that Nintendo doesn't plan to actually invest in any of these companies as it did with DENA. And the report also claims that Nintendo spoke with Puzzle and Dragons developer Gung Ho about a potential partnership, though a spokesperson claimed no discussion ever happened with Nintendo. So there you go. I mean, it's interesting that it's not a surprise, really. I mean, obviously, Nintendo were reluctant to invest in mobile gaming for a long time. But there is a market for it. And the good thing about Nintendo having a hand in more mobile games is that you're going to get better quality mobile games as well, where you just pay a fee at the beginning. And that's it. You don't get prompted to spend money on any extras, or you don't get adverts popping up everywhere. So this is good. I'm very happy that Nintendo are focusing more on mobile gaming, and it's just a shame they didn't do it earlier, to be honest. Because I think the potential for, especially with how powerful mobile phones and Apple phones, Samsung phones are now, there's such a massive potential for great mobile games out there, which is why I'm really hopeful that the Harry Potter game is going to be a proper 3D world where you're exploring Hogwarts and you have to meet Hagrid and you get to punch Draco Malfoy in the face. That'd be so fun. I just hope it's like those old PS1 or PS2 games, when you had to explore Hogwarts, and then the animation was so bad. And have you seen those pictures on Facebook where it's like there's like a grid and there's different numbers on different photos, and you say which Malfoy face are you today? And it's loads of different Malfoy faces from the old Harry Potter games. Do like those? I like those very much. Anyway, right. So, shall we move on? We've got a lot to talk about from the world of Switch, which is very exciting. We've also got our boy, the PlayStation Vita, emerging from the ashes like the Phoenix to show us it's not dead yet.
Yeah.
Couldn't make it up that all this news would come out just after our 200th episode. But before that, I want to hear about some Switch news, and then we'll get into the Vita news. So please tell me about how many units the Switch has sold.
Yeah, there's loads to talk here because obviously, big week for Nintendo, lots of announcements last week at Game Awards and stuff. But first of all, Nintendo Switch, Nintendo of America tweeted that Nintendo Switch has sold 10 million units worldwide in 9 months, which is pretty amazing. The Wii U, I think, sold million, but I don't check that. So already, obviously the Switch is gonna,
it's gonna be.
But it's amazing how quickly it's happened.
It's crazy how quick it's
done.
So
it's not 10 million in 9 months is incredible. That's huge.
Yeah, that's impressive.
So that's a big thing. Oh. Colin, look me up how many units the Wii U sold.
Sorry, Chris.
Come on.
What are you saying, bruv?
Look me up how many units the Wii.
I saw an article.
Look me up.
I can hear you. I can fucking hear you. Yeah, you nag. I saw on Reddit that they're thinking that the Wii U is going to the Nintendo Switch will outsell the Wii U before the year is out. So here we go. Right, there's an article here saying Nintendo expects the Switch to beat the Wii U lifetime sales. So the Wii U. Let's have a look and see how many it's sold. Right, so the Wii U, the older console, which means the Wii U, only reached 13.56 million sales over the entirety of its 5-year lifetime. It wasn't a hit for the game maker. So it's sold 13.56 million. How much is the Switch on at the moment? Is it 10 million? So it's almost there, Chris. It'll be done. They're going to outsell it before March, before the year anniversary,
How exciting in Twitch news. Colin, how familiar are you with Bayonetta?
Is that the thing with the big sword?
Oh, that's Xenoblade. Bayonetta stars a witch who's got shoes that are guns.
Okay. Oh no, yeah, I remember we've spoken about this before. This rings a bell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big deal. People really like it, and basically, I think the first one came out on like 360, PS3, and PC, and then Nintendo were like, "Nah, you know what? We'll make you the second one because no one else wanted to make it." And now Nintendo have announced a third installment, Bayonetta 3, will come out on Nintendo Switch as well as remaster editions of Bayonetta 1 and Bayonetta 2 coming to Switch next year as well. One, I think, is going to just be a download, and then 2 will get like a physical reprint as well. I don't know if we know anything more about when it's going to come out, but this is exciting. People love Bayonetta, and like, it's a real success because they sort of picked up this franchise and nurtured it back from being something which, you know, did okay, but clearly wasn't popular enough for anyone to want to publish the sequel. And then Nintendo were like, no, you know what, we'll publish it, and we're going to do a third one as well. So it's really exciting for people who like this, and it was a big deal when it was announced at the Game Awards last week. So it's Bayonetta 3 as well as 1 and 2 getting remastered editions on the Switch. I think the remasters come out next year. I'm not sure when Bayonetta 3 is, though. Speaking of Game Awards, Colin, we saw the announcement of Breath of the Wild's DLC 2, The Champion's Ballad, which is now out and features Link riding a motorcycle as well as some extra shrines and stuff. So if you had Breath of the Wild and you didn't know that, it's out and you can go and get it and download it now if you've got the season pass. So get in on that. I'd love to know what you think of it. I've not played it yet, but I'm keen to know what you think. Enter the Gungeon comes to Switch. Really loved indie game. It's made by Dodge Roll Games. It comes the 14th in America, December the 8th, 21st in Japan. Have you heard of Enter the Gungeon, Colin?
No. What's a Gungeon? Please tell me what a Gungeon is.
It's like dungeon, but with a G.
Thanks. Yeah, brilliant. Great. Okay. What is this game then?
Well, it's called Enter the Gungeon. It's you go into dungeons, but you've got guns. I don't understand what you're struggling with.
I don't know what a Gungeon is. That's what I'm struggling with. It's not a dungeon. What's a Gungeon? Oh, I get it. It's the word gun rather than dungeon.
Well, it's like
that's so clever.
Really,
that's so clever.
Yeah, dungeon with G. It's a bullet hell. It's a bullet hell game where you kind of crawl through different dungeons. It's a combo of the two, and you have to go and try and find the Gungeon's ultimate treasure. So it does look quite interesting. I think it's co-op as well. So that's quite exciting if true. I'm keen to try that. Your last bit of Switch news is that Capcom are having a bit of a blinder lately. They've just announced that Street Fighter is going to get a remastered edition featuring 12 games from the 1987 original through from the 1987 original to Third Strike, which is one of the versions of 3. So Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, Street Fighter, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which is the classic, Street Fighter Alpha 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3, Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter 3 Second Impact, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, being remastered and come to Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC in year. It's a really, if you like Street Fighter, like I'm not mad for Street Fighter, but I kind of respect it. But the trailer that they've put out with this game looks so cool. Like it really makes you feel nostalgic for those classic games. It's really worth watching if you if you want to get hyped about it. It looks really cool. It's kind of all about like how Street Fighter started in the arcades and how it became this huge deal and how it's been running for a successful franchise for 30 years and how different the games are. Definitely worth a watch.
Definitely. Sounds really cool.
Yeah. That's kind of it for Switch news, but I do want to say we put a video on our website where a player has managed to get through the whole of Super Mario Odyssey without having Mario jump at all. So if you're interested in silly challenges like that, then give it a watch on here'sfanheld.wordpress.com because I found that video really interesting.
So isn't the whole point, don't you have to jump on people or jump up to get to higher points in the game? So how can you do it without jumping? That seems crazy.
No, well, exactly, Colin. That's why it's such a good video. I mean, the caveat is that when he does the guy narrating does possession, he does jump when he's possessed. So he never jumps as Mario, but he jumps when he's like playing as a bird or something.
Oh, so there's a catch there. So it's not actually how it's.
But it's yeah, but well, of course, there's a catch because we wouldn't be able to do it. But it's genuinely, it's a really interesting video, and it's like a best of as well. So you don't have to sit through a whole run of them trying to work it out. It's worth watching.
Cool. Right. So I want to talk about Vita news to butt over a little bit here because the Vita, who would have thought it after our big discussion last week about change to the podcast, the Phoenix awakens and the Vita news comes flying in. And one of these bits of news I'm very, very excited for. And it took us all a bit by surprise, to be honest. It came out of nowhere. So I've spoken quite a lot on the podcast about Papers, Please, which is the role-playing game where you play as a passport inspection officer, so immigration inspector. Of a fictional country. And the whole point of the game is you get a lot of people coming up to you and showing you their passport and their papers, and they've got their own stories, and you have to decide who to let into the country and who to refuse entry to. And your decisions have a input into how the game ends and how the game proceeds and updates on the country and things like that. So it's a really interesting game, and I've wanted to play it for a long time, and I was initially waiting for the Vita release. So this is by a gentleman called Lucas Pope, and it's come out on a lot of different platforms. I believe it might have been over a year ago now that he said he was bringing it to Papers, Please. And earlier this year, we brought you an update where he said he is still working on it, but there was no news. So a bit out of left field, this news came out a couple of days ago, maybe even yesterday. Recording on the Wednesday, so it's Tuesday this week, and it's now out on PlayStation Vita. Came out yesterday. Who would have thought it, Chris? And I believe it's been charged £8.99, which is not a bad price at all. So it's a bit different, very unique game. It's already out on a lot of different platforms, but yeah, it's a really cool idea, and I love these sort of things where like your actions have outcomes and your actions have consequences. Very similar to the whole world of Telltale and their games. But yeah, if you're excited for Papers, Please, and you haven't played it already, why not check it out on PlayStation Vita? I think it'd be a really cool place to play it. It looks like the sort of game that would really suit the Vita and its screen and its joysticks and things like that. But it's interesting that I was looking on the PlayStation Vita subreddit, which has obviously been very quiet over the past few months, and this article was at the top. It was one of the top voted posts from the past week, and a lot of people were saying that a lot of Vita owners were saying they feel it's a bit too late now. It should have come out a lot sooner because a lot of people who are Vita owners have now purchased a Nintendo Switch, the love of handheld gaming. And it was funny seeing how many people were more interested to know whether it would be coming out to Nintendo Switch rather than PlayStation Vita at this point. But it's still nice that the developer stuck by his promise and did bring it out to Vita. And yeah, if anyone out there has checked it out, I've not played it yet, but if anyone out there has played it from day one, please let us know your thoughts. I'd really like to know if it plays well. I'm assuming it does. It doesn't seem like a very technically demanding game, but it'd be really nice to know what the port is like. You can email us heroesofhandheld@gmail.com or tweet us at Handheld Podcast. So let's move on to another game. So Stardew Valley is a very popular farming role-playing game, which I've never played, but has a really big following this. And there was talk a couple of months ago that a PlayStation Vita version was being looked into. So developer Concerned Ape, which is a great name, said they were investigating a Vita version of the game, but it's finally been confirmed by the publisher Chucklefish that it's definitely coming to PlayStation Vita. This was actually confirmed last week, so on the 8th of December. What's it now? The 13th. So yeah, last week. And also the Vita version will be cross-buy compatible with PlayStation 4, meaning obviously you just need to buy one version of it. You get it on your PS4 and your Vita. Bad news though is that the Vita port won't include the multiplayer update that's coming to Stardew Valley, so you won't be able to play online. But the fact that still getting the game, I mean, once again, the art style looks like it really would suit the PlayStation Vita, and it's just nice to hear that all these developers saying they were going to bring their games to Vita, they are actually sticking by it. I know we had a few instances where that didn't happen, the Banner Saga being prime example of that.
That's the infamous one, isn't it?
Yeah, the infamous one. But it's nice that, it just seems very odd that these two biggish titles that have a big following, these big indie games, have, the promises are coming to the Vita. I mean, at this point, a lot of people thought that it was never going to happen. Like, eventually we'll get, either they'll just ignore the fact they said it was coming to Vita, or they will just, bring out a statement saying, sorry, we can't be bothered. But it's great that this is happening. I'm glad that Papers, Please is out now. And it's really good that Stardew Valley is coming to Vita as well, because I think it'll really suit it. So yeah, if you're up for playing a bit of farming role-playing and you like to have picnics and, farm, then why not check this out? So yeah, we'll give you more information as soon as we have more details about a release date. But it's coming out at some point in 2018, which is very, very cool. Right, so that's my Vita news. Who would have thought we'd have 2 big stories in 1 week? Insane. Do you have any 3DS news, or have you already spoken about it? Because
there is one bit of 3DS news, Colin.
Amazing. What is it?
Just a little bit. So, Detective Pikachu is possibly coming out in Europe on the 3DS. This is there's also a movie which is coming out where Pikachu's being voiced by Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah, I saw this. Yeah, I saw this. I'm a bit confused. Does this mean that Pikachu's going to have an actual voice, or is Ryan Reynolds just going to be saying Pikachu?
No, I don't know. I assume he's going to have an actual voice.
But maybe it could be like Vin Diesel in Guardians of the Galaxy with Groot. It might just be like one line over and over again. Like, he might have to say Pikachu in many different ways.
It could be, couldn't it? That would be unbelievable. But anyway, the game would be out in Japan for years and years and years, but it looks like it's going to come to the 3DS in Europe after a leaked PEGI rating on Cerebe's Twitter. They've put in a release date as like a complete placeholder of like the end of January 2020. Sorry, the end of December 2020. But yeah, it's got a PEGI 3 rating, so it's going to be pretty hardcore. And hopefully it'll come out next year on 3DS. That'd be good.
That would be cool. Is this that game where he was like wearing a hat, he was giving a cheeky wink, and he had like a weird accent?
Yeah, and it looks like it's hard to know what the link is between the movie, because obviously the game's in Japanese. I haven't played it, but it should be interesting.
Very strange, and I'm really interested to see how the whole Ryan Reynolds thing develops as well. Is that all our news? Is that all the news done?
That is all of the newsy.
So let's move on to group chat.
Yeah, we got some tweets, didn't we?
Yes, and what's even great is you've copy and pasted the tweets into the document that we use for our news stories, and you've even included a little picture for the top one, which is very nice.
Yeah, you know what, Colin? I have, because I'm bloody great.
You are great. Your copy and paste skills are amazing. So the question we had is, what game would you like a dark reboot of? Do you want to elaborate on this? Because a lot of people seem a bit confused by this.
Well, not a lot of people, one person. But basically, like, we've seen films and TV shows come back and sort of, initially they were like made for children, and then they kind of get relaunched sort of a decade later, with the idea being that they're targeted at teenagers and adults. So like, you get sort of films that would have been like something like Logan, for example. We have like X-Men films which come out with 12 ratings, and then Logan comes out and it's for an 18-year-old. Or in the games world, you had things like Advance Wars, where the first couple were, bright, colorful, charming affairs, and then you had the most recent Advance Wars on DS was this dark, scary, apocalyptic type game. So we want to say what franchise you would like to see rebooted, but with this kind of dark and grim and gritty overtones. Colin, what are the tweets saying?
What are the tweets saying? So our first tweet with the picture of the guy wearing shades is from our boy at Ludex_Philip Hawkins. Thank you very much. His tweet is, Alex Kidd in Miracle World came built into the Sega Master System. Redesign would have to include the epic sideburns, though. I'm not familiar with that game, Chris. What is that? What is Alex Kidd in Miracle World?
Well, I mean, Phil's given us some pretty good sort of backstory there, but Alex Kidd is a game from the Master System. I played it a bit on on one of those kind of games that came out that was like, a best of Sega type thing. I mean, Alex Kidd is like a child, so it'd be interesting to see how they brought it back. But
a moody
it'd be
teenager.
quite, and that'd be sick. And maybe in the last episode, in the last part of the game, he'd shave his sideburns off, and that'd be a big moment.
I can't. Oh yeah, they're the sideburns. Wow, they are some epic sideburns right there. We also had a tweet from our boy Roberto at Jihati88. He says, Echo the Dolphin. A peaceful game about a roaming dolphin turns into a cybernetic revenge tale. Echo has been cybernetically augmented, basically like the Terminator or Adam Jensen. He attacks other sea creatures and cyborg humans to take back the planet. There you go. He's even thought of a plot, which is very impressive.
I know. I'm well keen for that. I wonder if they would ever bring Echo the Dolphin back. I do want to say as well, I've only just clocked that Roberto's Twitter handle is, I think, a reference to Zone of the Enders, which is dope if true. Did you ever play Zone of the Enders?
I have no idea what you're talking about. No,
it's PS2 game. There was two of them, and they were these kind of. It was this weird like mech space shooter thing. It was mad. I think you'd be quite into it.
I'm just looking at pictures.
Colin 15 have liked it.
I was looking at Echo the Dolphin, and there's a picture of screenshots from the game, and there's a picture of a pterodactyl taking away Echo. That's a bit sad. That's already a dark remake right there. Creepy. What else do we have? And we also had the best tweet of the week from Ethel the Frog at Nyla. I have no idea what this means. So there you go.
Fair enough.
Brilliant. Right, so let's move on from that. Chris, what would be your choice for a dark remake? What game? What series?
Yeah, I've been thinking quite hard about this. It's quite difficult, isn't it? Because there are some games that if they didn't have their charm, they would be just a bit kind of boring and generic. The one that I really want to see, and I don't quite know how you do it, but I do want Star Fox to get a reboot, and I would be more than happy if they made that a lot more like kind of pulpy and gritty and interesting, and less like twee and like bogey on your tail, do a barrel roll, and a bit more like if it was like this really serious like animal war, that would be so sick. Can you imagine how cool that would be?
That would be cool. Does he wear a leather jacket? I think
he would wear a leather jacket, and he'd smoke cigarettes in my version as well.
Yeah, I think whenever there's a dark remake, someone has to wear a leather jacket and smoke cigars.
Yeah,
that's only right.
There'd definitely be a bit where, because they all fly planes, they'd also, I think it's difficult when you fly planes and you want to make a game about that, because it could very easily make some kind of strange collateral damage decisions, which probably wouldn't be very fun. But I would be up for them to like reboot that game from the ground up and make it less camp, make it more like, it'd be sick. Imagine it was like Call of Duty style. That'd be so good.
Yeah, like Captain Price smoking his cigars. I'd be up for that, and his massive moustache. That'd be great. Right, so my game. Now, I think I found the best answer to this question. Now, back in the early 2000s, we used to have a PC. And it was quite an old PC, which used to run Windows Millennium 2000 edition. So I always
2000, a classic.
I know. I had all these dreams of playing all these PC games, but unfortunately, because our PC, because we still had the 2000 edition when it was like 2003-04 when XP was out. So I went to play all these games, but every time I tried to play them, they wouldn't work properly. They had lag, and it was just unplayable. But there was one game that I had. I have no idea how it came into our possession. I think it might have been a free game with a box of cereal or something. I don't know. It was the amazing game. I spent many a summer day playing this game, and many a day after work, after school, going straight onto my PC and playing this. Now, the game was Playmobil. Alex Builds His Farm. Now, I'm guessing not many people have played this game. It was amazing. You played as Alex, obviously. You're a young boy on this farm. You're a little Playmobil character. And the whole aim, you've got to go around this farm, do all these chores. You've got to cut the grass. You've got to ride the horses. You've got to get the milk from the cows. And basically, the point is just to help out your parents who run this farm and just make it the best darn farm ever. And all the characters in it, all the animals, all the humans, are all Playmobil characters. So they've got the little, like the Lego hand, there's no fingers, just like a sort of like semicircle is the hand. And it was just so fun. You had a dog as well. You could play fetch. You could throw a ball, and you went and collected it and came back. Honestly, this game was so fun. It was a great time for everyone. It came out in 98, I believe. And you can find videos of it on YouTube. It's called Alex Builds His Farm. But I would love a dark remake of this game, like maybe a bit more sinister. Maybe his parents have been kidnapped, or maybe there's been a murder on the farm, and we've got to find out why. Rather than him be a little boy, make him like a anti-establishment 18-year-old guy who wears shades. I imagine him dressing like Neo from The Matrix, with the big jacket and the shades. And he'll have a gun as well because it's a farm. Obviously, this is a British game, so there's no guns. But in America, there'd be like a shotgun, there'd be like pistols, and like there'd be like mobsters coming down on the farm to try and take it over, and like a bit like John Wick, I guess, as well. So a mix of John Wick and The Matrix, and it'll be raining the whole time, and yeah, it'll be like a really bittersweet ending where he avenges the death of the family member, but then he dies in the process. He gets like impaled by a fork or something, or a hoe. Maybe gets hit over the head with a hoe. That'd be great. So that would be my idea of the best.
Can you imagine if before the credits roll at the start of the game, the first thing you do as the boy on the farm is go out the back and you have to kill one of the animals that's not very well.
And that's where that's where it will start. So turns out like you kill an animal that belonged to one of the mobsters, and then that's
there we go. Just like that, we've got a story.
There we go. Honestly, people, you need to see this. Go on. Alex Builds His Farm. YouTube that shit. You won't be disappointed. It was a great ass game. Right, Chris. Next week is Christmas week. What is the group chat for next week?
Well, you're going to have to explain this to me because you wrote that you didn't like my idea. Then you started going on about your one.
We've done this before. We've done about the idea that we originally had was the best Christmas game and gifts you've received. We've done that before. So I had a bit of an interesting idea. Well, I thought it was an interesting idea anyway. So it's the bargain bin question. So as you know, it's Christmas time. You're roped into doing these secret Santas at work or with your friends. And, you don't know what to get people. You don't know what to buy. It's really annoying. You just end up buying any old tat and they're disappointed. But we're going to help you in terms of your friends or co-workers who like video games. So normally for a Secret Santa, the limit how much you spend is about £5, £10, something along those lines anyway. So I want everyone to do this. So it's not just us, not just me and Chris. It's all our listeners out there. I want you to do a bit of research. Or maybe just say an old game. I don't know. It's a game that you think is worth £5 or something. But we need to talk about a game that we love that you can get for £5. No, £10 or less, I would say. And I think that'd be a great question because we're going to help people, Chris. We're going to help people know what to get for Secret Santas.
Okay, so it's like make a really budget game recommendation.
Yes. You don't have to do any research. Just a game that's been out for a while and you think you can probably pick up for about between £5 and £10. That would be an ideal Secret Santa gift. And it has to be a game that you really like as well. It's not just going to be like any old game. It has to be a game you played, a game that's close to your heart. We want your stories, people. We want as much effort put into the answer as Roberto did for his Echo the Dolphin answer. That's what we want. Damn it.
Colin.
Yes, Chris. Yes.
I'm looking forward to talking to you again next week. But if I want to get in touch in the meanwhile, how do I do that?
Well, there's so many ways that people can get in contact with us. You can email us, heroesofhandheld@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter @Handheld Podcast. You can tweet us your thoughts. We're very active on Twitter throughout the week. You can go on our website, heroesofhandheld.wordpress.com. And on there, you can go to the contact us part, and then you can send us your thoughts that way. We're on Facebook. We're on Google+. We're all over the place. Just search Heroes of Handheld. You'll find us. You can even leave us a review on iTunes. We really appreciate that if you like our podcast. And you can also find all previous episodes of our little podcast on our website as well. So we'll be back next week, same time, same place. Until that time, have a fantastic week playing handheld gaming. Have a very Merry Christmas, even though it's our Christmas episode next week. But have a great festive period before we talk to you next week. Goodbye. Say goodbye, Chris.
Enjoy Star Wars. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.